All right, let's do it.
Hey y'all, this is another episode of the Heard You Sis podcast. It's your girl Danny,
I'm Kills.
and we have some special guests today. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Hey, I'm Aaron Eason. You want like an edification or just?
No, you could just introduce
You could
yourself.
just
My name is
introduce
Aaron
yourself.
Eason, and I guess we're fellow podcasters, amongst other things.
Okay.
My name is Greg Figueroa, and on social media platforms, I go by Felony Fit.
Okay. With every episode, we like to ask our guests and each other how your week was. So if you guys would, do us the honors of telling us how your week was.
You gotta think about it.
No, my week started out great. The energy that I've been thankful to be around lately has been all positive energy. I've been having a lot of wins in my personal life, so that's been dope. The week started out great. Monday, Tuesday was great. Wednesday kind of threw me off my kilter a little bit, dealing with I got a son who's 3.5, and actually we haven't even unpacked this on my own show yet. But I got a son who's 3.5 who I haven't seen yet, but I'm still in the court situation, and I had to deal with the whole child support situation. And while I'm not one to ever abandon responsibility, I do contest being responsible for 50% of 57% to be exact of somebody's financial well-being, and I don't even know the person. So Wednesday was a little bit rattling, and then Thursday and Friday we got back on track. So yeah, my week was good. All
Okay.
in all.
Okay.
I've been battling a lot of things personally, and I lost a little brother about a week and a half. Oh, wow, 2 weeks ago today. And it's just been one of those things where I've been dealing with a lot of losses, but nothing that I've been doing to lose the things I'm losing. But God has, been good. In the process, I'm enjoying every opportunity that comes to me, and people and things. But I had a very, very like downward spiral in terms of like life happening. But how I responded to it was dope. You know what I'm saying? I talked to this dude pretty much on the same day he was going through it. We had the same decline.
Yeah,
And then we
sometimes
kind of
it
like
happen like that.
spin the corner, spin the block, and just shifted as soon as we got off the phone with each other. And we haven't addressed anything about the issues that we discussed that day after that. So it's kind of like, as men, it's important that you have that outlet and that space to kind of like get over it, because sometimes it could just take you all the way down and you ain't coming up out of that.
So what do you feel like outside of you two? Who's your outlet you feel like to speak to?
Well, for me, it's gotta be my wife. I mean, I'm with my wife more than anybody else. Like, when we was at certain stages of our relationship, men tend to fight back over certain things, like fight back from the way we used to live. So, like, she used to present the premise to me that, you're supposed to be best friends with your spouse or your partner or whatever. And I thought that was like the corniest shit in the world.
Really?
I
Really?
I did.
I think
but
it's a good base.
at the time, and I'm saying that because I've done a complete about face. Like I love going home. Like my man could tell you, like I love being done with my day, get ready to get home to my wife, my dogs. I love being in my crib. I love hanging out with my wife, dating my wife. Like we do it. So like
I
that's
love
my-
What presented
that.
that shift though?
Yeah.
She did.
Okay.
She the shift came when you faced with losing what you know is of value at the risk of fleeting moments that come and go, people who don't matter, and willing to hang on to that versus seeing value in somebody and owning that and nurturing that. So like when she presented me with, the ultimatum, like dead that shit and get on board, I got on board, but even then I was still pushing back, so it took a minute. But now, like I was just telling him just before camera started rolling last night, she showed me some reel on Instagram, and then some wife walked up to her husband and said, we should exchange phones for a day.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, oh, you would never do that. I turned my ringer on. I gave her the phone. Went in the shower. She thought
Really?
I was playing. But it's like that's the maturity that
Mhm.
that I've reached in my relationship. Like I'm honestly, I'm not content because neither one of us are content with
We
where
are
we
at
at
right
in
now.
life. Like we want to
Right.
attain more,
Facts.
but we
Uh-huh.
just trying to get it together as opposed to get it separately. You feel me? Like it's better when you got, you got two sets of hands working towards one problem rather than having to
Right.
face
Right.
everything
By
yourself.
woo,
You know?
that's a word.
Facts.
So, Aaron,
'Cause-
are you dating anyone, and have you experienced like trying to do the same thing as?
It's like I said, it's weird. Yeah, I literally just met somebody, and it's took off.
Okay.
And when you're in this mature space, and a lot of my friends, they're happy for me. They're very, very, very clear on like how I feel, but they're also like curious as to how it's happening this
Right.
fast. For me,
I'm
not
curious, just encouraging him to be careful. Not
Mm.
curious, just intelligent.
I mean,
You
because
sound
Are you
like you
known
sound
for-
like her. She would
Well,
tell me
no,
that.
Seriously, no, you
gotta be aware.
I'm not opposed to.
I don't want to make him sound like he's
No, I
speeding.
don't think so.
I'm just saying.
I just think when you're getting to know somebody, whether it's a friend, whether it's in a romantic capacity, I just find that you need to get to know people, whether it's a coworker, whoever. Like,
how
you
does
just need to
studying
get
look
to
like
know
you?
people.
How do you study someone?
Me?
How does intent to study look?
I don't intend to study, but I am just
No, I mean, no.
naturally an observant person.
No, right. But when you want something, think of it this way. You got a deadline for paper.
Mm-hmm.
What does everyone do? Because the deadline is 3 months out, you really start working towards that paper 2 weeks before it's due.
Yeah.
Night
So
before.
But that's considered procrastination, though.
It's more than that. You're not seeing the opportunity to write your paper 5 times better in the space of that gap where you're given too much time to do a great job. So a lot of times, people just don't want to work on something that they know they can, like they have the time to work on. And it's like, if you're intentional about getting a A or being a doctor or whatever it is, like that test or that space would project you into life being, then you just go and you do all the work you have to do once you get the project. So I'm treating this project like something I really, really want to succeed at.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how
Being
it looks
intentional.
as a man that has been through enough trying to figure out how to deal with his emotions in the process, how to not do too much, how to keep a chick at bay and then grab her when you're ready and then push her back. Like I used to do it all. But like now I'm like, I know enough that if I just do what I want to do with my feelings, respond according to what I feel and be, mature about it and discerning, and I get the energy back, I'm just going to keep going forward. I'm not going to pause. I'm not going to pump fake. I'm not going to act like, someone that has to,
I actually
You
feel
don't
that.
feel like you. But okay, so is it something mutual? Because dating is like low key, kind of like a game. I'm not saying that it should be played, but like realistically,
I play to win though.
On a
Play to win.
Okay.
Right?
Oh.
So if you're good at anything, you don't practice all this time and then fumble it when you get the chance to play the game for real.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you talked about healing from, you get a chance to show your healing. Everything you talked about wanting to express to a person that's valuable or value that you can give out, you get a chance to do it. If you are playing with that process, playing the game of I'm not sure, then you're losing your own game. It's not a game of like let's see who gets to break first, or let's see who gets to fall in love first. I want to fall in love. Otherwise, I would do what I was doing right before I was doing this.
Okay.
But that's why I ask, is it mutual?
Yeah.
I think it's
So what is considered fast though? That's another thing too. Like what is considered
Really
fast? to you?
talking about this right
well,
now.
fast. It could be interpreted differently. Like I've been in relationships that started with having sex on the first night. So
Okay.
like there's that fast, but I've been in other relationships and some of them have moved at different paces, but fast, like the relationship I was in prior to my wife and I being together, I was in a relationship for 6 months and that resulted in a human being. So I think sometimes speed in a relationship is determined on where the two people are in their personal lives when they get into that relationship. Because I got into my relationship with my son's mother inadvertently because she offered a lot of things that a nigga coming out of jail didn't have. You know, and while I would never try to use somebody for the things they offer, if they're being offered,
It was beneficial.
then I would be a fool not to, you know, take something that's gonna propel me to the next step that I'm trying to get to in life.
Okay.
So while I look back at it and I kind of understand, and to have grown to the point that I do, I have to kind of understand why she is so hell-bent on hating me the way she does. But I think because that relationship moved so fast, we didn't know each other.
You didn't
And
know who you was getting in
during
bed
the
with,
process of not knowing each other,
Mm.
we created another somebody
Mm.
that now comes from everything that is statistically proven to be called a broken home. And then on top of that, my son is Black and Puerto Rican. So he's Black and Puerto Rican, and he's automatically born a statistic because he's from a relationship that's not, you know, mother and father in the same household. Now he has to ward that against everything else the world has to offer.
I do
Gotcha.
want to ask a question to piggyback on that, right?
Talk to me.
Did you want a kid?
Oh, I want more kids. My wife is not trying to have kids now.
No, I'm saying like your first child.
Did you want him?
Did you want to have?
Nah, I think that the notion of having a child, I wanted that. And I wanted what I thought that relationship was or could become. But being unsure and walking that line, the reason why that will never ever work out good is because if you're not all the way sure, you're supposed to stay all the way out. And I ain't talking about pull out. I'm talking about stay
And that's
all
what I
the
was
way
getting to.
out.
So
Like,
that-
I just feel like as adults, you know, because it all sounds good. And like
Right.
I've heard a million stories from both sides, men and women. And it's like there's not much accountability. I'm not saying you, but I'm
Facts.
just saying like there's not a lot of accountability being taken. And I know what happens if I'm having sex and I'm not using a condom.
But I
Facts.
think
I
on
know
both
what
sides,
could happen.
Facts.
And you know, and I take those steps because I know that that's not something that I want right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But on both sides, I definitely feel like there needs to be accountability because if like I heard something the other day with this lady was like, if a guy tells you he doesn't want a child, why are you expecting him to actually step up and be a father?
Right.
He said he doesn't want a child. He
Right.
clearly told you, like, I don't want no kids. So if you keep your child, you have to be 100% sure and 100% willing to take care of that child
Right.
by yourself.
I do agree.
100%.
So, but
100%.
Hey.
But there's a lot to address when you're addressing this kind of issue. And like, on one hand, you have a huge fight around the world for women's rights. And I'm anti-misogynist. I would like to fashion myself a feminist. I have women in my life that I love and I want to see get to any level that their talent could get them to. So I don't want to see anything hold anybody back. But there's an argument there about how much power women don't have.
I just had this conversation yesterday.
But then as a father to a child who's been on this earth for 3.5 years, I witness all the power that a woman does have. Just off of pure words, an entire court system will keep you from having a relationship with your child. So there has to be no fact. There has to be no evidence. There has to be no video surveillance. There has to be no actual concrete proof that you are a threat. A woman has the power to say, I'm scared of that man, keep him away from his child, and that's going to be done. And it's going to be enforced by the law who turn around. You look at me and you look at me at the time that my son was born, like I was about 280 pounds when my son was born. So you look at me, bald head, beard, tattoos, 280 coming out of prison.
Yeah.
If the police approach a situation and I'm arguing with a 4'11" Puerto Rican female, it's no matter who's at fault, I'm going to be looked at as the threat.
That is true.
That's true.
And then I got to fight the biggest gang in New York City and try to win that.
That's another.
You know what I'm saying? So like a woman has, a lot more power than they're given credit for. But it's how you use that power. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of think that the laws are just very antiquated as well. Like we
Yeah.
haven't moved with
Absolutely.
the times,
Absolutely.
and like the fact that and I'm not saying that women don't deserve their rights, because some of those rights that come into play do benefit those women who actually are in a
Right,
position that they're not
there
in,
are a
but-
million pieces of shit
Yeah.
that made
But
the
signing a
system what
birth
it is.
certificate and then
Right.
and then finding out DNA wise that that's not your kid, but you still have to pay for it
You
is
on the
the
hook.
craziest
You
law,
stink to
the
me.
craziest
It's
law I have
crazy
ever heard
to
of
me.
in my entire
That's
life.
insane.
It makes no sense. Like DNA proves this
That's
is not
in-
me.
That's
Like
insane. I really
Facts.
think that's absolutely. I remember I seen something where this lady was like, it was like two gay women. They were in a relationship, and she was not biologically, that child's mother.
Mhm.
And she signed a birth certificate, and she had to pay child support. And they
Well,
split
Can I
up.
say something now?
Well, that's a
Can I
little
say something?
different.
Because the system is the system, but then there's the human beings and a part of the process of that system being used.
Yeah.
So like he's dealing with this issue not because the system only,
Mhm.
it's the person he decided not to study.
Mm.
And that's the accountability I was talking about. If you don't know who you're dealing with,
Mhm.
Facts.
you're gonna find out when
You
you
gonna
know what
find
love
out.
looks like on the other side of a problem.
Mhm.
Facts.
And or hate or pain or whatever the case may be. So it's really that we're not dealing with genuinely good people. And we're
Right.
going through the motions of life, letting people come in and just
But it's
F it
where
up.
you are. It's
But
where
this
you
fact
are.
is
You
back into
can't.
moving fast though.
Okay, so
But it's also where you are, because you can't expect to move with good people if you are not laser focused on being a good person yourself. Like I was living a certain way,
this is a fact.
so
Yeah.
I was living a certain way, so I met who ultimately became my son's mother through those channels.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, to be meeting someone through those channels, she had to be living the same way.
True.
On
You
the-
understand? We
on
had
the
to be
scale- on the
moving
scale
I
in
was
the
on the
same
same
plane.
plane.
we had to be
Yeah.
moving on the same frequency.
Uh-huh.
So now I turn around because I've grown and because I've matured. I'm turning around and like, damn, she's a piece of shit. But it's
I mean,
you got to make a I was telling him just the other day, like, because I always say like I have everything that I asked for. Like it took a long time to realize that I have everything that I asked for in some of the hardest moments of my life. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
But in those moments, like I was just telling him the other day, you got to really make a conscious effort. Like if you have everything you want, you got to make a conscious effort to be a good person.
always.
You got to make a conscious effort to be a good,
Always.
because you're always presented with a choice. You could be a piece of shit or you could not be a piece of shit.
It's
And
true.
you know what I'm saying? Too often people go with what's easier, and what's easier often looks like you're being a piece of shit, but then the energy that comes from that, what vibrations that gives off, it's only negative things coming back. So she never moved past that because she held on to a lot of anger, a lot of hate. So she never moved past where we were in the relationship at that time. So every action that she has now is predicated off of what she felt from that breakup.
Yeah, she.
But I've already lived a life. I done seen the world. I done had my passport stamped like 8 times since then. Like I'm past that. So I've grown into a happiness that I think only fuels her anger. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
I could see
That's-
that.
I
You,
could see-
you wanted to say something.
I was gonna
though.
say, are you
have-
on the same plane as this person that you're dating? Do you
So
feel
let
like
me be clear about something.
Uh-huh.
I was married before.
Ah,
I got
That's
divorced.
interesting.
Okay, we
got
just
divorced.
opened
So
Pandora's
Yeah.
box.
You know what so I say that to say this because I wasn't trying
sorry,
to
did I
get
kick
into
you?
the conversation. You don't know what you don't know.
True.
Facts.
All right. But we was just talking about it earlier. When you have a craft that you've been working at so long, for example, our engineer, maybe he started this 10 years ago. 10 years ago, he had to see everything like a lot behind that desk. Now, give him 20 minutes. He's doing what he couldn't do in 20 minutes. Like it's different now because you understand the intricacies of simplifying all the hard stuff.
Yeah.
The parts that are like, wow, like where do I start? If you start to simplify the idea of what a relationship is and why the ones that I've had didn't work, then when it starts to work, you don't overthink it. All my friends do is tell me, yo, get out your head, hey, because you're the worst person for yourself. So like when I'm with her, I'm not in my head. When I'm with her, I'm a part of every moment. When I'm with her, I see so much more of what I feel,
Mm-hmm.
and I get to be those feelings. It's like you can, like, a lot of people reject that in those moments because they're not sure about the other person. But it's like, this is another example I use for everybody to understand. Just be yourself, be who you feel like you need to be in those moments. If someone you hold the door open for someone and they walk by you and won't say nothing, your energy is like, yo, what was that about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, will you stop holding the door for every other person when you get the chance because of that one person?
Mm-hmm.
So now the person you're true to being has been shifted by some negative experience.
Mm-hmm.
Is
By
that really
stranger.
who you are? Or are you conditioned by the response from someone else to be a person?
Right.
So like, I don't need her to be in this mutually for me to treat her like a queen.
Got you.
You understand? Like, I'm not saying that I'm not giving that opportunity because she's giving me the opportunity to see it that way. And I'm not gonna act like I've ever been here before because this is new. I'm just responding like a scientist. I'm doing this different from every other way I've done it before, and it's
Okay.
working.
That works.
So that's why
That works.
when I think, I don't know who said, I don't think I said it was fast. I'm sorry if I did. It's just moving.
Okay.
It's maturing. Like I went from crawling to walking to a little bit of jogging. I might be able to sprint and I'll jump. I might fly soon. I don't know. It's happening because I understood all the ways to do that in a relationship. I just never did it right before.
Got you.
Okay.
Okay.
Would
Listen.
you get married again?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of times people say, I'm not getting married again. It's just a contract. I'll get married in front of the law. And I'm just like, to be transparent, not recently, a couple months ago, went through a breakup. And people were like, do you feel like you want to be in a relationship? Sometimes I feel like dating is a little bit too much for me right now. But do I feel like I never want to love again? No, that's not the stage I'm in my life. Like, that just wasn't the love for me.
Facts.
So sometimes you got to realize, like, that's not the love for you.
That's
Like,
your question?
yeah.
What is it that you're doing with this time in your single space? Are you working on yourself?
Yeah, like definitely working on myself.
For your husband or for
me.
All right, what does that look like?
Just taking time out for myself, like, making myself a priority. Because before, like, I wasn't making myself a priority. And then just getting laser focused on God. That's really my thing. Like,
Okay.
my main focus is like, God, you have the wheel. You're in control. I'm just going with the movements. Like, you were saying something about, like, being, letting someone change you. And that's literally what I'm working on. Not even being focused on what that person has done to hurt me and change me, but to just evolve, become a better person at what I'm doing every day. Like, just being more intentional.
Consistent. Mhm.
Yes, more intentional in everything with what I'm doing. So every day I wake up, I pray, and I just say today's gonna be a good day. Like, if it's not a good day, hey, at the end of the day, I can breathe, I can feel,
Facts.
and I'll wake up tomorrow and we can start all over, one moment at a time. I don't even say one day at a time, one moment.
Because I do feel like, and I've said this before on the pod, like, there's been a lot of times where I, like, talk to homegirls and friends, and it's just like, oh, yeah, like, I don't do anything wrong. Nothing happened. Like, it's always, like, the man's fault or whatever. And when I went through a breakup, I was just like, well, damn, there was definitely some shit I could have worked on. Like, so, like, I definitely feel like focusing on yourself and really, taking the time to understand that there are things that maybe you didn't do right, or maybe there are things that you could have changed, or, just being a better person for somebody else as well, too.
Sometimes it takes somebody to come into your life for you to realize that. Like, for me, I had a lot of people I was dealing with. So, number one, I didn't understand. It took a friend of mine who, in a million years, I would never expect to get the advice I got from this person.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, G, you got to really, like, be mindful of your energy. Like, bro, you can't just be sharing energy
Dumping
with
off on
anybody.
anything.
Like,
Mhm.
you can't be living like that. And, subconsciously and maybe consciously, I came home from prison. Like, I was in prison for a long time. So,
What's a long time?
I did
was
2
just-
bids altogether, 11 and a half years.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, but and the time between the 2 bids was more like a furlough because it wasn't like I came home and had some long extended time home. I just came home, tried to elevate my situation, and got wrapped up again and was back in prison, shortly after I was home the first time.
I feel like I've dealt with this. I've seen other people deal with it. Do you feel like when you get out that you should be dating? Because I don't feel like that first relationship ever
This
really
is
works out well.
Well, here
Get
you
out
have
what?
it.
Of
You get out of
jail.
jail.
Oh,
Well, here
Yeah,
you have it. When I got
That first relationship.
when
just-
I got well, you
Listen.
see, when I got out of prison, obviously I had the normal energy that any nigga coming out of jail would have, so I wasn't looking for no relationship and just ended up living that, just dating, fucking, whatever you want. I'm sorry if I'm
No.
talking all
This is
crazy.
a
I apologize.
curse it
I'm
up
just
zone.
in a organic conversation. So we was just in that space, and that's what I was moving towards. But that's what that friend was trying to get me to understand. Like, just energy transferring between people is not healthy to just do that with just anybody. And we're not talking about, I'm not only talking about sexually
Sex,
transmitted things. I'm just talking about
In general.
the
like,
energy
the
in
proximity
general.
of a person
just
with you.
somebody else's drama, their baggage, their history, their
Literally.
past.
It's true.
Everything comes with that exchange.
Mhm.
So, my first relationship coming out of prison ended up being something that I got into too fast. But then looking back at it now, she had the crib. Like, I had my own car, but she had a crib. She had this, she had that. She was
It
stable.
was established.
And because I was coming back, and my tenacity wasn't gonna allow me to not be, good for very long, but it's still a building block. Because if you come back from prison and you get right back to it, yeah, you get back on faster. But how short-lived is that gonna be versus the way that I was determined to go about it this time?
Flying straight.
Like, I was determined to go about it like,
Flying straight.
yeah, like I'm gonna build this block by block, brick by brick.
Yeah.
So it took a little minute, but now I'm
it's
there,
not.
Because you have
so-
literally, you have to reacclimate yourself back into
Listen,
like society,
Facts.
and get the groove of what's going on.
Get the
figure out
lay of
who
the
you are
land.
now,
See,
'cause you
see
are a
what the
different person,
landscape
yeah.
is.
Well,
Because the
so-
dating landscape between when I left home in 2011, like, versus what I came home to in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
like, the dating landscape has shifted. Like,
So much.
now it shifted so crazy where like the era that we were born in, we're like the last of the generation where I could walk up to a female on the street and ask her for her phone number. Now, if you don't meet a person through like 3 degrees of social media prior to actually having them in your face, you know what I'm saying? That's the way you exchange things now. Like, now it's like dating had become something that happened so fast from when I was gone in 2011 to coming home in 2017. Now we
Right.
just swiping right and then you go meet somebody.
Mm.
Swipe right. Oh, they
I
like
know.
me. Now I'm gonna go meet them in a parking lot somewhere and go to dinner. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
it
saying? Like,
was
this is
actually
what it
like
has become.
That is
So
true.
It's, not,
It's true.
it's just like,
Can I ask y'all a question?
Uh-huh.
You were gonna say something?
No. I seen you wanted to say something, so I was gonna give you the floor.
Do options make it harder for you guys to focus on one person?
No.
Quality is quality. baby.
Quality.
You
I'm
can't-
sorry.
you can't
Okay,
fake
you
that.
can have a lot of quality in those options. I'm asking. See, quality is quality,
No.
but
Not a
quality
lot of
can come
quality
from
out
5
there.
people. That's what
Okay,
I'm saying.
it's
All right,
very
you go
rare.
first,
It's very
go
for me being like fresh in the dating scene. I just had this conversation yesterday.
We did.
We literally had this conversation yesterday where I said, in the last 6 months, I've
Mhm.
met 5 guys. Say 5 guys. Only one of those guys was actually something that I wanted, and meaning like was interested in like building something with, because he was what I wanted. But quality, not all the time. Like I said, quality all the time. Some things are quality in a package, and then when you really like start unraveling them, it's
Mhm.
like you ain't what I'm looking for.
damaged goods.
You
Yeah.
did. You're a beautiful disaster, and
Yeah,
I
facts.
don't want it.
Facts.
So, just because you have options don't mean they're always good options. Don't mean that you can always have options, but like I'm not gonna sit like on the phone with you if you're wasting my time. Like, don't waste my time. I don't got time for that. Like, if we're not having like some kind of meaningful conversation, if you're always talking about sex or you're always talking about stuff, oh, you look good today. Okay. What's your 5-year plan? Please.
Mhm.
Can we talk about something? Can we unwrap something else? Can we
Well,
not be, so surface about stuff like you were saying? Like, I'm very transparent. I'm going to be transparent with you. So I'm going to hit the ground running, not meaning like, I'm rushing into anything.
When you do that, you get further very quick.
Yeah, you
Masks
do.
off,
But you know what? It all depends on the type of
all the stuff
person.
she's talking about is when people are trying to shield the real. They don't want to get to the real stuff, real
It's
conversation.
not always that. It's just kind of like
just hear me out. So sometimes when you hit the ground running, you do run into people who will attach to your energy because it's good and milk you.
Right.
But then
And we was talking about
Yeah,
that.
we was just talking about that.
so it will milk you. But you have to have that discernment where you're like, this person is like, you can't just be listening to words anymore. It got to be some
Right.
action back behind it.
100%.
So when you're seeing that and you're seeing like action and words meet up, okay, that's when you can really start, making that pivot to really try to be in a relationship or see what's going on with that. But when you see the actions and the words or you seeing certain things not lining up, you're like, let me start take steps back because this is a
Right.
little bit too much for me.
Because let me tell you something. The dating scene, and I don't feel like it has nothing to do with me or whatever the case may be. I just really feel like
It's piss in the pool, man.
it's like the pickings are dead slim. Like, and it's not like, and when I say slim, it has nothing to do with looks. It has nothing to do with the physical
Nah, just people
of
of quality don't
yeah,
really.
just
Yeah.
quality.
Yeah,
Like,
people
did
of
your mama
quality
raise you
are-
right
are
kind of
few
thing?
and far
Like,
No,
between.
a lot of men present a version of themselves they're working on.
because look, if I talk to 10 guys,
that makes sense though.
Like,
you guys,
they not there
I
yet,
I
but
don't
they
want to date a word. I don't want to date that though. I want to date who
see
you
that's
are.
weird because we're always going to be in that space if you're not dating a very established man. That's like, it's a very short percentage of men that are really all the way set up, especially black men, because a lot of us come from so much behind the 8 ball. Like my cards I was dealt, like you'd be lucky if you could play a winning hand. Like it's a lot of people just don't know how to play their hand. And they continue to use a face card to try and get through life and figure out how to deal with their hand in the behind the scenes. So a lot of times when you say that, you got to ask yourself, are you presenting a finished product too?
It's not about a finished product to me. It's like, it's about being genuine. That's it. Like,
Okay.
Who am I? What am I here to present? What can I offer you? Like, for example, right now, like, I am just unemotionally available. When I speak to men, I tell them that. Like, there's nothing to expect from me emotionally. We can have a good time. That's just where I'm at in this present moment. Like, I just don't want that from you, just realistically. And I'm not dragging you along. I'm not making you think it's something more. I'm not playing games. Like, there's no mystery behind what it is. I'm just not there yet.
Is that
And
because you're working on yourself?
no, there's something else. But
No, but-
I get into that.
But at the same time, what she's saying, like that, the thing about that is like most of the time, I feel like when you get these options, they're lying. They're not really telling the truth about what's going on. And you see, I had a situation, just one small situation. In the beginning of the conversation, I said, this is in one day. This is like within 4 hours of just talking to this person. I asked them, oh, what's your situation right now? I'm single and I'm just trying to have fun. Cool. By like maybe an hour or two into the conversation, I said, okay, so what are you expecting from dating? I'm in a situationship right now.
What the fuck?
Wait, what? Did you just say you were single? Wait, so like how you just, and then when I presented like, yo, listen, I'm not in a situationship and I'm not dealing with that. They like, but you said you in a relationship too. No, I'm single. I am single like a dollar bill. Like I don't have no situationship. And I asked you and you presented something first and then you tried to slide something in after.
But you see, this is why I like to give people time. Like, for example, this is why your job gives you probationary periods.
Mhm.
Because like, people literally just give them enough time, the real you is going to come out. Like if you're somebody who's always late for work, you telling me 3 months down the line you not gonna be late
One time,
like that is gonna shine through. Like if you're somebody who like
yes and no.
Because that example, I'm not saying that specifically.
But I'm just saying yes and no because there's a lot of behaviors. Like, I mean, I ain't gonna get into it now, but there's a lot of behaviors that you could really unlearn if you really make it a point to unlearn them.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
there's a lot of
Change.
time. There's a lot of time that creates bad behavior. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So for me, because at the time I controlled a lot of my own schedule, I was predominantly training. So I made my own schedule. So my hours were whatever I wanted them to be. So therefore my time is spent however I'm telling you I'm spending it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to make a conscious effort to like not visit some of the places I visit, be around some of the people. There were certain behaviors I had to unlearn, but they're unlearnable, but you just have to be able to give people, if you see the potential in them
Mm-hmm.
and you want it, but you see something like, for instance, I always say that my wife saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Because although I wanted certain things, I didn't realize what you had to do to have them and to sustain them. You can get them, but to sustain them is a different story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to unlearn a lot of behaviors because some behaviors that I was having is just not behaviors becoming of somebody that's in a relationship. Because when you leave the crib, you're not just representing yourself now. Now you got to represent somebody else.
That is true.
And the way you carry yourself, the people you around and shit you into, is shining a spotlight on them, and and it has a side effect. You know what I'm saying? So I never believed that you cannot change. You could change things, but you have to want to change them. Like for me,
You
I
have to
was
be
faced with
upfront
it.
about that, though. You have
So-
to be upfront about the
Nah,
things
you
that
don't
you
know.
need. Like, you know
You
what I'm
don't
saying?
know.
I'm
You
not
don't
gonna
know.
roll around with
No,
you
no, no,
in
no, no, no.
months
This is-
hoping
this is-
that
You got
come to some epiphany,
you
or that I
gotta-
have to, that I'm helping to bring you to.
It
this
depends
epiphany.
on the person, because
Yeah.
I would like to say that I'm worth it, but my wife saw that I was
Yeah.
worth it, because when I'm telling you,
She was willing to go through that
yeah,
with
my
you.
level of respect for my wife is astronomical. The
As
reason
it should
being,
be.
because it should be, but
Because
a
she
lot of
values
niggas
it,
don't
yeah.
respect. Like a lot of niggas, like I was just saying to my man, she said something to me, but she took a shot in saying it. But now I think I'm living up to the fact that I could say it too. Like, coming from the background that I come from, niggas always talk about loyalty. But the one who always rides for you is the first one that we
Shit
cheating on
yeah.
and shitting on.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
So I say that to say she stuck it out. Like, she saw the potential in me, and she saw that there's a lot of bullshit. Like, got a lot of shit that kind of time has done to me. You feel me? Like, there's some things that I wasn't aware, that I wasn't prepared for coming back into society. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying I ain't talking about from a financial point of view. You feel me? I'm talking about emotional. Like, you in prison, so you kind of condition
Suppress
yourself
that.
to deal with the day. You condition yourself to deal with the next day and the next day. But when I had to deal with emotions outside of prison, like when you have freedom and you've been restricted for so long, kind of lose your top. You don't really know what to do with yourself.
I was gonna ask that. So I know you guys, like, prior to this episode, said you guys both went to prison before.
No, I went to prison. He never went to prison.
Oh,
No, I just have a background
okay.
similar to the response of
Okay.
what the court system does to
Okay.
you. So.
So with that, what do you think it has done to your emotional intelligence?
So I was going to say this because this is one of the things that I think there's the difference between a good man and just a man that's just wandering, but not in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that I have been studying myself vigorously is the first step to being able to unlearn. Like, he's talking about a man that's willing to do the work, but he understands himself.
Mhm.
Like, you keep saying you have to have that conversation. Men don't have conversations about what they don't know. If you don't know what's wrong with you, when I say no, I mean consciously express it, like, I'm working on this because I realized this. I'm working on this because I realized that I need you to understand that this is what I'm bringing right now. But if your patience is there and you do see me as the man I'm presenting beyond the problem, then I feel like we can grow into something crazy. Like, that's what he experienced. He studied himself, but we're introspective. And I think the idea of a good man is the need for introspection at the most vulnerable times of your life. So if you're not working on the understanding who you are, to then present something real and unmask yourself and give something to the world without trying to pump fake so that you can grow. Because like a woman's gonna show up when you ain't got nothing sometimes.
That is true. Like,
And she's going to see more if you present the real. But when you pump fake, it's gonna be like a whirlwind of bullshit.
Wait, but just because I understood the question maybe a little bit differently, you know, there's a difference between pump faking and presenting something because you have no fucking idea who you are.
right.
It's a difference between like
And I could work with
purposely
that.
trying to
Manipulate.
purposely trying to get someone to think one thing when this is the reality, and me presenting this to you when I don't even know who I am. So to answer your question, for me, because I spent a lot of time in prison. Like I spent a lot of time in prison. I spent a lot of time in situations in prison that is a prison in a prison, because I spent a lot of time in solitary confinement. You understand? So the way I understood your question, what that time did to my emotional intelligence, it further perpetuated the disconnect that's already there culturally, because men we don't connect to the emotion anyway. But when you're in a situation where you got to be so hard every day, you turn emotion off.
That is true.
So there's no emotion. I handle conflict one way. So when I find myself in an altercation when I was in a new relationship with my wife, I know one way to handle altercation. I find myself getting all mad, flying off the top. But you can't do that in a normal, civilized society. You can't act like that. So there's behaviors that they have to be unlearned, but they're not things that are me. They were things that were conditioned in me, because if you're in the jungle and you don't live like a
have to
fucking
be a
animal,
different
then
person.
you're not going to survive.
But the truth of the matter is, that's what it takes to be a man all the time. And that's why women don't understand. Like real good men have to shift at moment to moment. We have to sometimes be violent. We have to sometimes be soft. We have to sometimes be intelligent, like scientific. There's so much about our ability to be that's judged by good or bad. Nothing in between.
No, I don't think so.
I will. That's so. So let's talk
like,
about
no.
society, though. I'm not
Okay, society.
like, because in
Not
a relationship,
situational based, but just in
well,
society.
The picture, the overall
picture is the
The
picture. Because
overall
when you
picture.
stop talking about, when you finish the relationship, you're only pointing out the bad. No man is judged by his great moments. Very few men are judged by their great moments. You took 3 years with a man and you only pointing out all his bad stuff. Like that. My point is that, like, a lot of times, that is the issue. We fail to be men at the right times, and that's what causes the issues in a relationship, jobs, circumstances in the streets. Like, you failing to realize, yo, this is the move to make as a man. Take your time, be patient, look at this in a full scope, because there's a lot that goes on for men. We're very reactive.
Oh
Very
my
reactive.
God.
And
I said that yesterday.
it's because we hunt for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a difference between being assertive and being impulsive. Like for
Yeah.
me, my whole life, I was impulsive as hell. So
Impulse
I
control.
would act, you know, but unless you
Just 'cause you
did,
feel it
unless
don't
you
mean you gotta
did that
do it.
introspective work,
Yeah.
So
unless
it
you
just
do
comes
that
back to what I
introspective
said.
work, you don't know the difference between assertiveness and
And
impulsiveness. Like if someone bursts through that door right now, it's my reaction gonna be the same. But unless you really dissect what's going on, you won't know if I'm being assertive or if I'm being impulsive. Because if they bust through the door and I jump up to react and I don't see the handgun, I'm gonna just be shot in the face and dead.
Right.
Like you were impulsive as hell. You didn't really weigh the situation. You just ran in there blind. There's a whole different situation when you jump up, but you've done enough assessment to see what you could do. Like we use athletes a lot to draw this illustration in people's mind because they've done enough of the work to see the field,
You
to
can slow
see
it
the
all
court.
down.
They could slow it down and make a move proper, you know, based on the
Yeah.
situation.
So what you see as happen fast, they really see slow.
They're
And
ready.
they're
And being
asserting
able
Already
to be methodical
a
with
skill
their
in every move that they make.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's funny that you say that because I was having a conversation yesterday and I was saying that a lot of the times I hear men say like women are very emotional. They think with emotions and stuff like that. And I said, it's not necessarily we think with emotions, but sometimes we really are breaking down a situation as it's happening. And I feel like a lot of times men can be very surface. Not all the time. Not every man is like this, but a lot of times men can be surface and they don't really think past that first step. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna make sure I get the groceries. But then you don't think, okay, maybe we need some detergent for the house. Maybe we need something else. But this is just a very small thing.
Example. No, I know what you're saying.
But like a woman, we would
100%.
literally
It's like finding the principle behind it all.
Yeah,
or
like
seeing the bigger picture.
I literally just experienced this. I was in a surface space in an interaction with someone that I'm with, and at first I didn't understand the response because I wasn't available to know that I did something wrong. My wrongs sound like cursing you out, sound like giving you the cold shoulder. I just said something that ticked her, and it caused a shift. And instead of me responding according to what I understand, I started to dive into what was actually happening to her. I just shifted to her perspective. And the emotion I started to grab was hers. I started to feel what she felt when I said it. And I started to see what she saw. And but I had to take my time. Like that assertion to the moment was all I can offer to be the right man. Now, if I practice that with this woman, with my mom, with my sisters, with every woman that comes across me, the level of skill as a man I will have, like you'll start to see a great man produced in the world because I'm practicing at that level. But most men, we don't really, logic is easy, to be honest with you. Emotion is complicated.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's complicated. But eventually, if I start to deal with because me and him cry all the time with each other. So we understand our emotions now. So now it's like, produce that with people. Trust that your emotions are not going to be misused. And you're strong enough to handle whether it is or it isn't.
People also, sorry, but people also say, just to your point, women are emotional creatures. Men are emotional creatures too.
Facts.
Men just
did you say that yesterday? She literally said that yesterday.
It's just that men. It's just that men aren't.
But I love that for you, though.
It's just that men are not emotionally aware. Like we're not able to identify emotions like women identify emotions. Like every reaction that we have is predicated on emotion. And I can speak for myself. I'm not gonna speak for every man, but I can speak for myself, and I think I speak for a lot of men when I say that when I don't understand something, I get confused, and that confusion is only manifested one way, and it comes across as anger. It comes across as that frustration and the aggravation. When it's presented in the physical form, it comes across as anger. But it's just confusion because I haven't learned how to deal with what the actual emotion was, and then how to deal with it, like how to be okay with what.
No, it's how to be in the emotion that you're not unsure about.
As the emotions happen.
To be sad, men don't understand that emotional response.
Exactly.
To be frustrated and not angry. To be confused and there's so many emotions besides anger. But I've studied being angry all my life. That was the easiest response to a lot of things. All I understood was anger.
But that also comes from just us in general, like just as Black people. It's like
it's embedded in our DNA,
like suppress an emotion,
suppress,
having
suppress
to
and survive.
And the first place you're suppressing your emotions is at home. Like that's the place where you're supposed to feel the most vulnerable. This is your first classroom.
I was going.
And like a lot of times we learn that at home. And like I have been, and I'm not proud to say it, but I have been in a relationship before and I was like, oh, you're being like emotional, but I mean, like, and I was, and I prefer somebody who's a little bit more sensitive than me, because sometimes I can be like less sensitive, and I appreciate that in someone else because I understand. But in that moment, I was just like, you're being emotional, and he was just like, how you want me to explain myself and be, and tell you how it is without bringing emotions? Like that doesn't even make any sense. Like you make me feel like I don't even want to talk about it, and I had to realize like that was just like kind of like emotionally predatory, like just not getting the point.
So my question to you guys is, do you have to be in a safe space in order to convey your emotions?
I got this, bro. No, because he'll do the same thing I'm about to do. We created our space of Unpacked for this very purpose. Because a lot of people don't understand, like, you just gotta get it out of you.
Mhm.
And the safest place to do it is in a space where someone's open to just listening
Mhm.
and grabbing your perspective and helping you understand that it's okay.
Mhm.
And then there's so much more that can happen, but like sometimes you just need to say what's going on. Like that's all we get to do with each other. And that's why I trust him with my emotions. But then I realized,
Mhm.
yo, I don't really need to trust him. I just need to let it out. So
Mhm.
if I can create safe spaces for myself
Mhm.
and go to them often enough, because I like releasing this, like, so I can feel like
Mhm.
I'm not fighting. I'm not ready to fight. I'm not ready to get angry because I'm okay.
Mhm.
It ain't that
Facts.
serious.
Mhm.
So yeah, we created Unpack so you can be in the moments and unpack. I literally did. I unpacked a lot of stuff with my shorty in the moment, but I was doing it because I was working on it for the last year and a half.
Mm.
The thing with men, and the reason, just to piggyback off that, the reason why, like, women talk about things, like when you talk to your best friend, you talk about things, but men have been so preconditioned and predisposed to front all the time. Like, we front even to our niggas. So it's like home is falling apart at the seams. But when you go to the gym and you with your homie, everything good. But you don't realize that your home is falling apart at the seams. So if y'all speak, then y'all could come to understand, like, man, y'all put these problems on the table and be like, yo, we both dealing with this. Let's look at the common denominators. Let's take out the things that can kind of be fixed and see what we could do about them. But the thing is, there's not enough dialogue between men to realize that we can help each other in emotional ways without having your sexuality questioned. Because if you soft, especially as a black man, you say, oh, you was crying. Oh, we got 100 different words to say about this nigga. However, to be emotionally intelligent enough and then to be who you are and stand in who you are enough to be struck, to have an emotional chord struck, and for you to be able to cry whenever you want, wherever you want. That's the real alpha, because that same alpha that's able to cry anywhere he wants to go will also embody that attitude that if you have a problem with me crying, you can get fucked up. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, that alpha still exists, but you just have to, we had to learn that, other people deal with shit too.
Yeah,
And
everybody
if
got
you
something.
put it out there and talk about it, just sometimes putting it in the universe. And I say that I use this example all the time. I facilitate a group and I tell these guys all the time that sometimes the person you're talking to don't even got to respond to you. Sometimes you just need to hear the problems out loud. Because if you hearing the problems in your head, and then on top of that, I'm hearing that the mortgage is due, and I'm hearing I got to pay my car note. It's hard to me to make sense of the shit because it's amongst so much other jumble.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you just say it out loud, it'll start to make sense for you. You can start to kind of break it down a little bit easier.
When it comes to, I know, because we've mentioned this a few times, like, a lot of men don't cry. And I want to know what
they full
was
of
it.
Shit. They just don't cry in front of you.
Okay. Because I do the same.
Facts.
I cry, but just maybe not.
And
that's but
all...
I just think, what is that? What was that moment for you where you was just like, it's okay to cry? Like, what made you feel like it's okay?
I don't know if we did it. I don't know if it happened like that. It was just like I'm tired of holding whatever I got going on.
Just tired.
Yeah.
Like I've been strong. I've been tough. I've been loud. I've been angry. I've been a lot of stuff. But I don't know how this should come out. But I was talking to Greg about this. Like, women always talk about being in their soft season, like wanting it. Men need to do that too.
Soft life. It's crazy.
I mean, like in a way that you just kind of like
soften
all that stuff up.
Emotionally.
Yeah. But
I just been through enough hard shit.
Yeah, like
tired.
I just been through enough hard shit.
Because I feel like crying is like literally
Listen,
a release. Like it's literally a release. And I find that it's not just for one gender. Like, we both can cry for a reason.
It's a human response.
Exactly.
Everything.
To be honest, crying. So when I was in therapy, my therapist would tell me, like, crying is literally you letting go of, like, all of that buildup. it's really just like a release of all that build. Because you ever realize when you cry, you feel so much better. Like,
Yeah.
like damn, I just had like
You let it out.
yeah. So basically, what I actually read a book too, where it was like, you know, what happens is that before you cry, it's just a build up. Everything's just building up. And when you finally cry, it's kind of like,
Open the floodgates.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
you
it's
after
like-
you cry, you
speaking.
sleep.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You
It's just
sleep.
relaxing.
But
Like,
that's why,
let
like,
it out.
if I feel like I'm gonna cry, I just cry. Because if I don't cry, I'm gonna keep getting more mad and more mad and more mad and more mad. So I just cry. Like, just get it out and cry, drop a few tears and let it go. Like,
I used to have an issue watching a woman cry.
Really?
I can't deal with that.
So
I could not deal with that.
So I dated somebody who experienced a lot of wolf tears. Where people are just crying to cry, like just
Yeah,
because
facts.
there's no real emotion behind it, or you just crying just because.
There's that too.
And so I was
Yeah.
somebody who actually viewed crying as a weakness at one point in my life. Like I just felt like, oh, you would think I was weak, or you just would try to play me if I was crying and stuff like that. Like I just always felt like that. And so when I came across him and I'm crying, he just staring me in my face. It's like, yo, what the fuck? Like I can't be this person with you. Like, you know, I
It's
feel like you
different.
have to feel like you want to be in that space where it's okay to cry. Like
Yeah,
you know?
crying, being able to cry comes with a lot of maturity because, like, listen, my parents are from Trinidad. When you growing up in the household we grew up in, you know, boys ain't running around crying over every little thing. That shit is not going down. It's not going to be
what you crying
tolerated.
for?
Yeah, it's not going to be
What you crying
tolerated.
for? You want me to give you something to cry for? Like
Nowadays, they'll call it toxic masculinity. They call it whatever they want to call it, but it just wasn't allowed. But crying for a long time for me just came from being angry and not being able to, like, physically do something about it. So you be angry, like,
Something
It's a
gotta
different
come
type
out.
of
and
tear.
it's a
Yeah,
different
it's
type
like-
of tear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it took a long time for me to really personally, like, be okay with, like, crying emotionally in front of somebody else. Like, that shit took a long time for me to, like, because, you know, I spent a lot of time in places where that's viewed as weakness, but then weakness is preyed upon. It's like, it's one thing if somebody sees you as being weak. It's a whole nother thing if you're weak amongst predators. You feel me? You can't be weak amongst predators. So, like,
see, that's
that
why I ain't
shit
never
was
going to
turned
jail.
off. That shit was turned off. So,
I'm
Listen.
pretty sure he didn't want to go to jail.
yeah, no. I ain't
No, I'm
never
saying this
gonna
is
do
why
Like, hey,
I
let
always
me
stay
in.
away from that because I'm like, listen, I'll probably be somebody's girlfriend. Like,
I'd definitely be somebody's girlfriend. Look,
jail is not what it look like on TV.
no, I'm
That shit don't
I'm
be
just
going down
kidding.
like
Like, I'm just kidding.
Look,
Like,
I do have a question though. I want to know, because I feel like men, it's very rare that they hold other men accountable. And like for example, you don't say, I don't know, you have a kid with somebody and that person's taking care of them. They're open, like not like your situation, but like they're open to you actually being a parent and you're not capitalizing off of that opportunity to step up to the plate. Like, are you telling your friend like, yo, like what's going on? You being a
facts.
deadbeat or da-da-da-da,
Facts.
like, you know, like, oh, or your shorty you had your shorty
I'll say
crying,
this.
like, yo, you shouldn't be doing that.
100%.
Like, yo, tap into your emotions. Like, you should kind
I'll
of like.
say this. That's why, like, we were able to do things without, like, knowing we could do them, like, as men with each other. Like, when I think we first cried, it was random with each other. Like, it was, he was dealing with someone with his shorty. He just started tearing up
that's when I was going through it. Like, I was like starting
to
an
shift.
emotional breakdown.
Oh.
Like, when I met him, like, I was in a certain place, but somewhere along the line, I was like on the way to an emotional breakdown. Like, I was bugged out this time, like 2 years ago now. But I was at a place where, like, I was really dealing with more than I kind of knew how to emotionally, you know what I'm saying? Like, things, I was being presented with so much, but then also being presented with, you know, a relationship and having to consider somebody else in your decision making, you know what I'm saying? So I was in a crazy place and I was just overwhelmed. And I remember speaking to him and it just happened. Like I said, I got the kind of energy where, like, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Like, I don't care what you think about it. And how he received it wasn't how somebody who's not mature would receive it. You feel me? And it's crazy because you could build off that. Once you allow yourself to be that vulnerable with somebody, now like you just let them know you trust them a little bit. So now it's a give and take now. So you build on that. And now we at the point where like
he's checking me, I'm checking him. It's this not constant. And it's like also, you do a lot of talking as men around men. So
Facts.
A lot of people don't realize, if you say something around me, I'm checking like, so what's up with that? What's going on with that? Like this can be anything. I'm not really sure I'm here for any other reason. Like if I can't be your friend and see you excel, I'm not about to watch you. I'd rather be away from you, not around you, or just leave you alone than, to be around you and just let you operate any other way.
Yeah.
So accountability is, why I have a small circle. I feel like I got a lot of friends that, no homo, I've been dating to learn about myself and allowing them to pour into the person I want to be, because I had to take a break from my last relationship effed me up bad. So when it happened, I just started to realize I just don't want to deal with a woman with the condition I'm in. Like the person I'm offering clearly ain't working. So now I need to get enough to know where I'm healed at so I can operate in my healing with people in real relationships that love me, that care about me, that are rooting for me. And that's why you date your friends, your family members. You put yourself in a position to be held accountable, to be checked up. And every time, you'll see your growth through what doesn't get checked off. What's starting to evolve, what's like how you starting to operate, how you starting to consider people, how you starting to think about people. All this stuff happens. Yeah. And so, I feel like it's necessary for a good, real man to hold another man accountable. If you're not doing that, just stay away from that person.
It's crazy that you say that because I have a guy best friend. I have two guy best friends, and I make it a point.
I think I know one of them.
You do. I make it a point to consistently hold him accountable because he did a bid, and through that whole bid, I would go see him. We would talk on the phone.
He tell you everything you wanted to hear.
No.
No.
Now, this is young boy.
It's his friend. It's
young boy.
It's her friend.
That was sitting next to me, young boy.
That's my best friend.
The only one that was related to you.
That popped up at the photo shoot. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my best friend. And for years we've had this. People think that we in a relationship. We in a relationship, but we're genuinely just really good friends because I've always, not only have I had boundaries, but I've also held him accountable. Like, you wildin'. You need to stop doing this. Before he even did his bid, we were gonna stop being friends because I said, you gotta chill. Like, you doing too much. Like, you doing this stuff. And right when it happened, I said, you so lucky I love you because I'm not gonna leave you now.
He's not here,
but he also don't like. He's
also, matured so much. Like,
I just feel like
I'm so proud of him.
It's also hard to find somebody to be friends with of the opposite sex, and then there's not, just other things thrown into the mix. Like, I don't feel like he's trying to push up on you, say slick shit, do things.
But those are boundaries.
It's not about. I don't think it's about boundaries though. Some people just don't.
They're not the type of men you're supposed to be friends with.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but I feel like we met when we were young. So we met.
That means a lot too.
We met when we were young. Yes, so, we built as genuine friends. And then even when we were young, if there were any boundaries crossed, men have to respect you. They have to respect you. So when you put a boundary in place, a boundary is not hard to put in place. It's hard to keep there. It's hard to keep a boundary. You have to actually be intentional with that boundary. You see, if somebody keep pushing up on against your boundary and you fall back on it, now that boundary is no longer a boundary.
It's really not a boundary, actually.
It's not a boundary. It's just something you said.
It's just a door that just hasn't been opened yet.
Yes, right. Exactly. But if somebody says something to you and you like, no, that's dead. Like,
platonic relationships are possible, but they're only possible in reality in that situation. With if my wife is not gonna accept some new best friend coming along
that's
right
different.
now.
That is different.
So not be no new female friend popping up that I'm his friend with.
Also,
it's just not going to be accepted in the household.
Also in that situation, I feel like female best friends need to let it be known. Like show, like
Right.
be real about it. Like when you see her, like greet her. Don't be trying to be funny, doing little nasty, weird stuff. You kissing up on him,
Facts.
doing little best friend. I'm sleeping over your house. What?
What are we
What are you
doing?
doing
Yeah.
here?
So
Like
security is a big deal here. Like the idea of the woman that you have in your life, if it's a friend, a new friend, whatever, all that's a big deal here. Because I remember going through something where I had to cut
Flashback.
someone off, a friend,
mm-hmm.
because my relationship mattered more to me, and she wasn't jacking that, and she didn't trust me, and it was like, fine, I'll show you I'll show you how much I trust myself and how much you should trust me. But it didn't matter. That the insecurity in her wasn't going to change.
It wasn't gonna change.
So
The insecurity in who? The person.
the
you were
person I was dating. So
Okay.
like,
yeah.
I don't know that you should ever put yourself in a position to have a best friend after your wife or your, you have a wife.
Yeah.
And
I don't agree
I don't
with
think
Your
that.
best
about
friend
that.
is your wife. What you talking
right,
about?
Right. But you can build a bond or a connection with a human being
Yeah.
of the opposite sex.
Yes.
And like, for example, not to say, like this could have been, like I could have been
Best
building
friend is
my
just a-
business with a female. You know what I'm saying? And it could have been a connection.
Yeah.
It's
Like I
also
see it
about-
all the time.
it's a
It's
little
also
different,
about how
though.
the man makes his wife feel
Thank
comfortable
you.
with that.
Right.
Yes,
And
that is
that's-
that's
you
an
know.
instrumental
Instrumental
part in being comfortable with that
100%.
relationship.
This is true. But I have a lot of
But you
female
have
best
to-
friends.
But you have to, as a female, make that a welcome situation. Like if you want your man, your partner, your spouse to be transparent with you, you have to nurture an environment where that can happen.
True.
If you nurture an environment where a nigga's gonna come home and feel like he gotta lie just to keep the peace, he's going to lie.
He's going
He's
to
going
lie.
to
It might
lie
not
every
be
time.
nothing
That
going on.
is a
I
big
literally
fact.
experienced that.
So
I felt guilty every time I had to explain or
Facts.
say something. So I did
Were you making them feel comfortable?
No, I was making myself feel comfortable.
Okay.
I don't want to fight. I don't want to beef about
Yeah.
something that like I don't understand is going on over there, and you not being real about. That's the real issue.
Okay.
Like, so I can be transparent, but then you pump faking about how insecure you are, because now you're blocking it by telling me what I'm doing is wrong. No, how you're feeling isn't being
And it's-
expressed enough.
I actually had that happen with him. And I had to really be like, yo, I went to her myself and I'm like, yo, listen, I don't know what this beef is about, but that is my friend. And I don't know what you on, but we are not doing anything like that. We cool, girl. You need me in your lane. And I'm not being funny. I didn't tell her like
Yeah,
you need me in my lane.
support what he got going on. You
I
support
think
you.
it- I
You
would
push
love
him
to
to be a
put
better
that as a
man.
different
But I'm the
way.
person that's
that,
like,
that will check him if he
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. You
bullshit.
push him. You
Yeah,
and that's the
Yeah.
thing. I had to, and he even used to tell people like, yo, this is my best friend. She's not going anywhere. She's my friend. She's my friend, and she
Because
been
if
my
you
friend.
know you got somebody that's going to keep your trajectory going, you're not about to take an L on that just because someone is not feeling okay. They're not checking their emotions. They're not checking their insecurity.
Come on.
Because a lot of times that conversation can happen and it could be a genuine issue that you're going to have to figure out how to support her through. But I'm not going to make you secure.
No.
Men will never
No.
make a woman secure.
No, but
It's
I
not
feel like
gonna
you have to
Nah,
create.
you could
no, you have
foster
to.
this security though.
No,
You know,
you
you
can
have
support
to
the
make
process
somebody
of them
feel
becoming
comfortable,
secure.
regardless of the fact. Like, if you have a friend that was before me, right? Like, of the opposite sex, but y'all was doing little shit that was like, I would maybe, that was kind of like teetering
Suspect.
on something.
Yeah.
Like, I really just don't like that. Is it, is this person acting odd when you're around? Is like, like, what is the dynamic? So sometimes I just actually like to see the dynamic myself. Of course, you're gonna let me know what that looks like, how y'all are, whatever. But sometimes I like to see it for myself because I'm pretty observant and I can see through.
But a
the
woman
bullshit.
you also got to look at it like this. A woman has to show herself before she could come out of face and ask a gentleman to cut off a relationship that existed before her.
Which is my
The
point.
reason I say that is because
I've never done that.
if
Yeah, I think that's
if-
ridiculous.
If a relationship burns out, and it happens, I mean, I've had
It happened to me. Like I
If a
had to
relationship
legit tell a
burns
friend,
out-
it's a dub. We're not doing
Yeah,
it.
and then now you got to think of how, number one, how strong was your relationship with that other person, and how, like, when I say relationship, I mean your friendship.
Yeah.
Because you over here calling people your friend, like that title, like what?
What?
Like that's another thing that happened amongst the emotional intelligence in prison. Like you start to denote people's titles and understand that everybody ain't
Association is
deserving
one
of every
thing.
title, and
you have
some
to
people,
compartmentalize.
Come
some
on.
people just ain't friends anymore. Some people's existence in your life has been grandfathered in just because they've always been here.
Hey.
You know, you always been
nostalgic,
here. So it's
nostalgic,
just like,
nostalgic. Yeah, it's
you
all
here.
nostalgic. Yeah.
But some people you just gotta cut off if you want what you say you want. And if that just happens to be in a relationship, it just, you know, if you want that relationship to take that next level,
That's
to make
why I
that next
considered
step,
it.
yeah, you gotta consider it.
Yeah, that's why I consider it. That's why I
I've
did
been
it.
there
That was what I
before, having
considered.
to maybe somehow demote somebody in my
Yeah.
life or whatever, just because maybe I don't necessarily want to cut them off per se, but is this person serving me? Is this person actually a good friend? Like, you know, those kind of things. And, you know, because you grow,
Right.
you know, I may not have been, I'm not the same person you met in whatever year you met me in. Like, I'm
10 years ago,
different.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
You evolved.
And if you are the same person, then that person should be choosing whether or not they
want to
should be
friends
around
with
you.
you.
Right.
It's also
goes both
sometimes
ways.
that when you're also in a relationship and you're dealing with a friend that's single, you cannot operate the way you were with that friend when you were single, because they're meaning not saying there's an issue. What I'm saying is they have the time to be friends with you. You don't have the time to be friends with them at the same level. Because if I'm in it now. I got homegirls that when they're in a relationship, the whole thing shifts, and I respect it. The love is still there, the energy's still there. I do my check-ins, but I have to respect it, because if it's something that's you're building over there for something that, one, as a friend, I can't offer, two, it matters more for me to see you happy in this way than it does for us to just have our relationship. Yo, there's a way to maturely have a best friend without having to do all the unnecessary bullcrap.
But your friendship shouldn't be obsolete because you're in a relationship. There has to be a balance, like, you know, like this.
Me and A disagree sometimes. We disagree sometimes, but also like my whole point of view is now scoped off the fact that I went through this transition, and I mean, ain't no like. I just know my wife ain't jacking no bunch of female best friends. It's not going down like that.
I definitely listen. I'm here for it. I understand it.
And I'm not jacking it either. And that's the thing.
Come on,
because listen, I know men. I know men's intentions. I know men can sit here.
Can we speak to who I am? Listen, hold on. Can we speak to who I am though?
Yeah, we speaking to each other.
You're one like a needle in a haystack.
No, but it's
because he know me.
No, I know him and I know myself, and I'm just saying I know overall majority. I'm not talking about case by case, person by person, but the male mindset. You know, I know how many niggas I can say, who's this to you? They'll say, that's my best friend. I bet. If y'all got drunk and she let you fuck, would you hit? They're like, hell yeah.
That's not your best friend.
This is my whole point.
Thank you.
This is my whole point. So,
it's not your best friend.
As you mature and you start to see things, and like I had to learn this in being in a relationship. Like, yeah, like you have all these female friends, but what's the value of this friendship? Like what y'all really put into this friendship? Like how y'all best friends? How many years y'all got in on this shit? You know what I'm saying? What y'all been through together? And if it's somebody you met a month before your wife or a month before your ex, like whatever the case may be, that person's not a best friend. And that shit got to get cut the fuck off. And that's just how it is.
No,
and that's just how it is.
Relationships have to be cultivated, and that is a fact. They just can't just pop up like, hey girl,
and this is what I said.
I
say I have two things to say to that. I had that issue, but when I first started, my past relationship, when we were like in our dating stage, and he would say like, "Oh, you ain't got no male best friend." I said, "Let me tell you something. Y'all gonna get on a call. How about that?" And this is what I'm gonna say to both of y'all. You're not going to do, because they both tried to do that flex. He's like, "Oh, Chris is like
about to switch up on me."
He didn't even say. You about to switch up on me. No, I'm good. You about to switch up.
Oh.
It could be there, but you just can't like chill.
But
I think
he tried to do that, and my ex tried to do that, and I said, what y'all both not gonna do is do that, because y'all relationship are not in the same plane. Y'all on two different playing fields. Y'all in two different relationships. We are not together. I'm with you, and you my friend, and that's how we gonna keep it. But
I've had weird shit happen. Like, you know, I was dating somebody. I had a male best friend, and like this person never really did anything that gave me a vibe. It was like, oh, they're being weird. Like, and then I introduced them because like, and at that moment, he was actually my best friend was actually messing with one of my good friends. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. Like, we all did like a little link up, meet up, and then like the guy I was dating at the time was just like, that nigga ain't your best friend, like. I don't know what's going on there, but it's something odd in the way. But what I'm saying is he started acting weird. Like, and then he started doing weird ass shit after
Your
that.
best friend?
Like, yes.
Okay.
He started acting like weird as fuck after that. So I was just like, whoa, like this is kind of weird. Like, but that was the first person I ever introduced him to. So it was kind of like,
well, females
he had to go down
are
just for my
generally
own
given
sanity.
more credit for having intuition, but you know, just like anybody else, you've been around enough characters, you could see somebody's intent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you could be around enough bullshit and a bunch of shady people to know when somebody ain't acting real right.
Yeah, well, maybe I was being oblivious.
Yeah, sometimes we're gullible. We want to see
And I was a little
things.
younger, so it's kind of like, oh, you know.
I have a question, right? A real good question for y'all. Do you think if you have sex with that person, they are your friend?
What?
Like-
Your best friend?
No, best friend, just a friend.
It's a
period.
female friend. If you had sex with a female, right?
No, it's just sex.
Yeah.
It can be just sex.
No.
No, we're saying like, all right, so say
can
you
it
got a
become a
homegirl, right? Say you got a homegirl or whatever the case may be, whatever.
But
Maybe
didn't
y'all
start
hang out. Maybe
as a homegirl, you saying?
yeah, maybe you had a homegirl and y'all fucked once.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a year ago or something like that. But y'all hang out, y'all cool. Y'all maybe don't fuck again. Maybe y'all ain't kiss again, nothing. But y'all fucked before. Like, is that considered a friend?
I've never experienced that because
I
9 times
have.
out of 10. Oh, see,
I have. I've had some friends that I thought were my friends in that situation, just like that. But then my wife challenged me to cut them off. I cut them off and life went on. Now I don't think about them anymore. So they must have not really been that much a friend.
Because I had this.
You know what I'm
Or
saying?
maybe
Like,
maybe I
it's
had.
like-
Because if I fuck somebody, literally, you're not my
Your
friend.
friend and-
I'm not even considering you a friend. You're somebody I dealt with.
Yeah, you
Or
Yeah.
had
Okay, so then-
relations
so then-
with.
now
But
they're
you're
not
not
on the
my
belt now.
friend.
I have one ex-girlfriend that she could call me anytime she wants. Like in
That's-
terms of because the dynamic is clear. Like she's someone I care about as a person, but that's it. Like I that's all. Like meaning like
How has
I'm not
that gone
saying
in your relationship.
no, it doesn't happen. I'm saying she could. I would respond. I'd probably have a conversation with this new situation I'm in about said person because
Mhm.
that's the type of person she is.
Mm-hmm.
However, nothing's really actually happened like that. I just know that I can definitely say I care about her enough to, hold her down in a tight situation and be transparent about it with the person I'm with.
Because I'm cool with transparency.
Yeah, but I think
rare.
that real feeling of friendship is there for only one person I've been in the bed with in the past. Other than that, I can't honestly say anybody I've ever had sex with prior to the person I'm dealing with now can call my phone and expect anything but a why are you calling me?
See that's the thing I was having. I had a conversation with a man about, and he was like, "Oh, they're my friends." I said, "They're not your friends. Do you have sex with your friends? Like, there's a certain level of
Right.
intimacy that you have with sex that you don't have with your friends." And I
Yeah,
feel
but-
like that's
But if it was a
weird.
relationship,
Yeah,
No, we're not talking about
'cause
relationship.
that was my situation. Other than that, no, I've never had
not
sex with a friend.
relationship. I'm talking about like, exactly.
Casual sex.
I've never had casual sex with
With a
my friend.
friend.
I've always had the intent to have sex with the person that I was trying to have sex with.
Gotcha.
They've
But
been
you
a
can-
sexual partner, not a friend.
Friend.
I feel that.
I feel that.
But
Because
I feel like I can always find a
sometimes.
reason to disagree with something for no reason. But
Yeah, call-
Do you think you're a
devil's
contrarian?
advocate.
no,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I'm not
Are
trying to be devil's advocate, but like I've had a past, so like I do know that you can have a sexual experience with somebody, and then after that somehow cultivate a friendship. But the real question then is, if you enter into a new situation that you want to make a long-term relationship, is that other thing worth
Keeping out
what
around,
you're
yeah.
trying to
I
nourish?
wouldn't consider
You shouldn't be sustaining relationships
No,
with
like-
people that you have had sex with when you're in a relationship, and they should also
And-
respect the fact that you're in a
and
relationship.
that's the
And
point that I'm
that's-
making.
You know what's
But
weird
that's
about
the
that?
point that's the point that I'm
Here's the
making.
weird part
That's the
about
point that
that.
I'm making. Like
We all
once
have
you-
baby fathers and baby mothers situations. And you have to live not so much in a friendship space, but a very cordial space. And if you could create a
Totally
friendship,
different.
It is really.
Yes,
How?
you share a human being. You have no
So no, what?
choice
Hold on.
but to communicate. Like,
Right. So there's levels of that communication. There's levels of that
there's no
level.
ties to other people that you've just fucked.
No, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is you can create a friendship out of that so that there's a cordialness that doesn't have to feel weird. I've seen it before.
It's not a friendship though. That's the
That's
point.
that's
the
not
point
a
we
Okay,
get
what
at.
is it? What is it?
But
It's an
that-
associate.
No, it's an arrangement. When you're dealing with baby
I like
mothers,
that
baby
word.
fathers, it's an arrangement. It's
Okay.
a court
Does that fit?
arrangement. It's
No, I
an
don't.
arrangement.
Okay.
I've
It's an
just seen
arrangement.
stuff that doesn't seem like an
Nah.
arrangement. I don't know. I think
Even if it's a cordial relationship between the two people, it's an arrangement because it's only cordial because they have to be cordial for the sake of these children.
Come on.
It's an arrangement.
Well,
It's
true,
not-
true indeed. True
Because
indeed.
if they weren't a son's mother or a daughter's mother, they would just simply be an ex-girlfriend. And how much do you have to communicate
about,
with an
like,
Well,
we
ex-girlfriend?
gotta talk about, like-
here's why people don't understand you can't produce just an arrangement. There's a child paying attention to how people are acting around them.
Right.
So like behaviors are studied and learned in that arrangement. So if you behave like an arrangement, you're not gonna get what you need to give your child off. Like
Well, that's the reason why so many children come from broken homes.
which is why I'm
Because-
saying there's a very, very small percentage,
Yeah,
but I've
very
seen
small, minute.
grown people in
Definitely.
a mature
Like,
space
minuscule.
Very, very small.
behave like, oh, we're having X, come on over with the kids. Your kids, the kids of the other person, let's do this family
That's
thing.
full maturity.
That takes a very long time. That's
You
not
don't have to
something
do that. There's
That's
a
not
reason why
something
that's
that-
happening.
This happening because you have moved past a place of maybe like,
Y'all don't
there's
want
no
each
regret, but you're
other.
not necessarily friends is
Friends.
what we're trying to
Yeah,
get to.
no.
Like, you're not a friend. You're not a friend to me.
But
Like,
so-
I'm not gonna call you
what
in a
are- what-
time of need. I'm not gonna
I'll
lean
tell
on
you
you
right
for
now,
advice.
there was-
I agree.
Like,
I'll tell you right now, there was never a time, there could
levels of
never be
friendship.
enough
Okay, you're
need that my
associate.
son's mother was in when she could
I
call my phone.
guess.
There's
I don't know.
there's not enough need in the
Yeah,
world.
huh?
There's not enough need in the world that my son's mother could be in where she could call my phone and feel like she could call my phone.
So
You
I
can call
maybe
any other number.
maybe
Don't call mine.
maybe the idea of friends is a stretch, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
you have a relationship.
I can
And it's
agree with
not
that.
I
it's
could
not
say that.
toxic. It's not weird. There are emotions. If it, like, for example, if he had a solid relationship with his baby mother and something happened to his baby mother and she called, he should respond. Not so much just as a human, but that's my mother's
No,
child.
your response, yeah.
Right. But then you care about that person because you laid down with that person. This is like you. No. When I'm saying
Yo,
laid down with that
absolutely
person, when I say laid
Completely
down with that
disagree
person,
with
you
that.
created a person with this person that you're dealing with.
Right.
You're not gonna only operate off of that's just my mother's child. You have to care about that
My
person.
child's mother, and nah, you don't. I disagree.
I disagree. Some people,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
I mean,
lie.
and I'm
There are
not-
some
So you can't be
terrible
human
women in this
with
world.
that person, but you can be human
No.
with a person
No,
that
but
you
you're
see
not
get
terrible.
in a
You're
car
not
accident.
necessarily
No,
being
there's-
inhumane with them.
there's a
There
difference.
are boundaries that have been set, and this is where
Well,
it's at. Can it grow into
care
a
is
little
care.
bit?
I'm not
There's a
talking about.
difference
You know what I'm
between-
saying?
Yeah.
There's a difference between
Love,
being
care. I'm talking
humane
about-
and being
oh
a.
my God.
There's a difference
Respect,
between
yeah.
being
Respect.
humane.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being humane and then being in a relationship or a friendship with somebody. Like in that situation, he just used an example because on the way here, I jumped out my truck because somebody got into an accident right in front of me. So I jumped out the truck to make sure they was all right. My son's mother got into a car accident right in front of me. Yeah, I'd make sure nobody in the car died.
And
That's the
It's a
extent of
stretch.
it.
I don't know if you. I don't know if you
That's the
helped
extent
out.
of it. I wouldn't. I mean, I make sure that everyone's
Yo, this
breathing.
man hates
and
her.
not
The
going
way you
out.
feel about home girl, I don't know if you helped her.
Hey, man, you
He done
got
thought about that. He don't be
People-
thinking
has a
about.
strong dislike for her. Like,
yeah, people, because it's unfortunate though.
But
because
I'm not
you-
saying
you,
he's not saying, oh, like I just don't, as a human being, I just don't want something wrong to happen. I don't want this
Yeah,
person to
which is
die.
where I'm
Yeah,
talking
we just
about
don't,
level
we don't
of
have
care.
to agree with each
Level
other.
of care.
Right.
Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I don't know. The word friend
What is
is the
what
issue.
is a friendship? What does friend mean to you? What does that look like? What does a
Ooh.
friendship look like to you?
Honestly,
Yeah.
to
So
care
we
about
can
the
get to
person
why you
beyond
feel like
yourself to an extent. There's
I
levels
wouldn't
of
consider
friendship.
that to be a friendship. I would just
To be an
consider that to be.
associate.
So
I-
what
I can't
creates
with
a
my
friendship?
coworker.
Wait,
I
hold
don't
on,
want them
I'm-
something to be wrong with
Wait,
them.
hold
But
on.
are you my friend?
To care
No.
about something, to care about somebody is just a human feeling.
Yeah.
So I could see somebody on the street and not and not know them and not be your friend, but care about if they're okay. Like if they fall on the ground.
No, I agree. I agree.
So,
I apologize.
the thing is that
that wasn't a good
care
Like,
is,
for example, I hate cats. Yesterday we were driving and I almost, like, a cat ran out in the street and I instantly stopped. I didn't want to run over that cat. I hate cats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that I have to be a nasty person about it or be inhumane towards that. It's a level of care.
So what is a friend then?
a friend, okay, there is a certain level of loyalty, a certain level of intimacy, a certain level of
respect,
trust, transparency, vulnerability that comes with being a friend.
So it's not defined by anything specific. It's just there's certain levels for certain people.
It's a feeling.
It's just
Caring at a certain level for all those different things, right? Like loyalty. You care to be loyal to this person.
An associate?
No, I'm just saying. No, there's no
acquaintance.
Two things can exist. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You can care about someone.
No, I agree.
You can care, and then that person not be your friend.
No, I agree. What I'm trying to say is I don't know that we know
what,
like the level of friendship we have.
Well, everybody's level of friendship is different.
Because I have people I don't talk to anymore,
yeah.
and I care about them, but I don't care to be friends with them.
Agreed.
What creates a friendship is mutual action, a mutual understanding. That creates a friendship. I think that's true,
yes. Mm-hmm.
So, because you can't have a friendship with one person. Mm-hmm. So it's like we have to mutually meet on certain levels in order to explore the idea of friendship. Mm-hmm. But now the title friend is not given to just anybody. Because although we can identify on certain levels, you might not meet all the criteria. You might not meet all the checklists. You might not, I might be able to confide in you, but I might not respect you so much. Mm-hmm. Or I might respect you, but I might not trust you so much. Mm-hmm. You know, so you can't be a friend. Friendship, the title friend is something that's earned. It's not something that's just given to somebody. So what comes, who is a friend, it depends on how they show themselves in your life.
Yeah, to be clear about something, I'm very fickle about who I call a friend.
It didn't seem like that.
No, so because
he said.
All right, so here's the thing. I'm saying that this. I was speaking to what I think I've seen and how people behave. How I treat that level of a relationship is super serious. Mm-hmm. Like I don't have a lot. Like a lot of people can't call my phone and expect to get a conversation out of me beyond, you know.
But he has 2 phones though. He has 2 phones, but not a lot of people he wants calling. Hey, Wolf, you know I always get on him about these phones. He got 2 phones, but he doesn't want nobody calling him. I don't understand.
No, but seriously, my circle is very small. And it's small because I don't trust people with that level of respect and that level of, like, you can't just become a friend because you like me and I like you, or we like being around each other. We have a good conversation once or twice. No, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than all that.
Definitely.
I guess I'm speaking to one. I'm being the devil's advocate because a lot of people don't really know what a friend is, and that's why they go through so many emotions and issues with people that they call a friend, and they realize, oh wow, that was never really my friend. I had a whole wife that was never really my wife. Wow. Like as the things that you start to realize stuff like that because you're not looking at things with a certain. You know,
sometimes some people have been around so long and you still realize they're not your friend because you've never been through shit with them at all. It's like they just been around.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you find it out.
Like, you know, definitely
I don't know what your character is like
because
you've never had to show yourself. Mm-hmm. You just always been taken at face value.
So please. Don't misinterpret my care.
No,
I'm trying to define because I don't know if we know what you need to be as a friend. I feel like it's intrinsic. Like it's why you make decisions in other relationships outside of your family dynamic. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is based on the mutual respect and the mutual feeling. Yeah. You don't really just get to like oh, he's doing this, she's doing this, he's doing this.
Pinpoint.
It's so much that's inhabitable. Like, you know, you can trust this person, so you're growing in that relationship that way.
I think just this is probably going to be like the last of this because we got to wrap up. But I think that you know when somebody is a friend by, it's like something specific. Just like, you know, when you want to be somebody's boyfriend and you want to be somebody's girlfriend, it's just something that person does. It's like, damn, this is my friend. Mm-hmm. Right. It's just like something that clicks. So
I ain't asking him to be my friend. It just happened.
But it's something clicked
Facts,
with
but
y'all.
yeah,
right, that's
Like,
what I'm saying.
yeah,
And I
that's
can't
it.
tell
Like,
you.
that just
I
was
can't tell
like,
you what it
nah,
is.
I can't tell you
like,
when it
we locked
happened. It
in.
just
Like,
You
kind of
locked
just.
in.
You
Facts.
feel it. You feel that
You
connection.
feel and sometimes you feel like
It
you're
doesn't have to
forcing
be
a
said.
friendship. Sometimes
Mhm.
you do. You can
It's
you can tell
understood.
when you're forcing a
Facts.
friendship, and then sometimes you can feel like you can tell when you're being used
Mhm.
Right. True.
because you're a good friend,
Mhm.
but
Right.
they're not a good friend.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
Because you have the good qualities, just like in a relationship.
I
Like,
learned that young too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
facts.
Mhm.
yeah.
I mean, it took me a while to kind of really learn that. I was just like, yeah, this is my friend, and like we're hanging out, we're having a good time or whatever, and then situations would happen, and it'd just be like, okay, I didn't really like that, but I'm gonna let it go. Or okay, something else happened, and I really didn't like that either.
Either.
Or maybe I spoke about it and I wasn't heard, or things like that. And so, like, it took me a while to really be like, okay, this is what a friend is to me.
Right.
Mhm.
This is what a friend does in these situations.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That's when you start to really see who's your friend and who's not.
Who's your
My
friend?
know, my
homegirl
grandmother
called me
got a
yesterday.
saying-
It was 2 hours away, stuck somewhere. I was with
I'm
Shorty.
about to drop everything and go get her.
No, I was with Shorty. I was like, yo, listen, I could come later tonight. You just gonna have to chill. I got you. My Shorty said,
Why don't you
oh,
go
that's
get
your
her
friend? You trust her like that? Let's go get her.
Right. That's, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
No,
like
shit
when
with
that happened, I was like, ooh, I really like her.
That's how it
But
should be.
what's crazy is
Yeah.
like God took care of that for me not to have to do it. Like it in that moment, that it spin is like, oh, she good now. Cool. Now I know.
But
Now
you were also
you know what I'm
being
saying?
transparent.
Well,
though.
but that's good. I mean,
know?
that's how I live. But like it was a good situation to be in to find
Mhm.
out one how much I cared about my friend.
Mhm.
Two, how much Shorty was
Was-
trusting me to
to
like
be a
just like to be a
friend.
friend,
Mhm.
to like support
Yeah.
what I got going on, and she don't even know her yet.
Fact.
I love that
That's
for
dope.
you.
Yeah.
That's
I
dope.
love that for you.
I was surprised,
That's really
but
Yeah,
that's how
that's
you
nice.
learn. But that's when you start
Yeah.
to figure out
But
That's
you
when you
feel
start
this
to
is
that,
learn
worth
that
the
could-
investment. This is worth the
Right.
time, the energy, the
Yeah.
That's when
value.
you,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
We want to thank you guys for coming on. This was
Thank
such a
you for having
wonderful.
us.
This is a beautiful
Yes, I
conversation.
I like this. I like this.
We did too.
Um,
I appreciate you having us. I
do
really
you guys have anything like last words or anything you want to
Plug in the
plug?
pod. You know,
We're
make sure
definitely gonna plug in the pod.
Come
you know.
on,
We
plug in the
getting-
pod.
Well, we definitely getting ready to roll out Unpacked, and I think people are gonna really enjoy the organic conversations that take place and where we coming from and what we doing for men, for Black men, for mental health, for relationships, for,
for all
everything.
men.
Just
Yeah,
to
for all
really
men, all
just
people
embody
actually.
growing as a process, growing and healing and learning, and just have fun and just like really, really be deliberate in the process. I think people are
Yeah.
gonna like it. I think people really enjoy it.
And I like that too because I just really feel like, a lot of times Black men really just don't have that space
Yeah.
or
100%.
that just people to talk to about certain situations, and it just doesn't feel safe. So I
100%.
appreciate.
And we
I'm happy
appreciate
to
that.
tune in.
And
Can't wait.
even just to piggyback off of what she's saying, a lot of the times like men are getting into these spaces where they're safe and then talking about a lot of nonsensical things
Right.
like
True.
just
Right.
how to tear down the Black woman or
Right.
being weak or the stupidest things that we could be talking about. Like
yeah.
100%.
I think
So-
when I found this to be something so necessary for me to evolve. I started with my mother, and the idea of being able to unpack with her made me realize there's a lot to unpack.
Facts.
And once I start running into people that I care about, I challenge them to always unpack stuff.
mhm.
And I don't do it for them to have to be safe with me. But I think that you should find a space, find a
Yeah.
place and a space.
To
If it's a
release.
closet, if it's a person, if it's a room with a therapist, unpack your stuff. Because a lot of times you are letting out what's in you in moments that strangers have to deal with. That people that because it's like you don't even know you got stuff in you that you letting out on a day-to-day basis. And life is just beating you up because of it.
Mhm.
And you could be so much more productive for your children, for society, for yourself, if you just unpack the stuff that you've been storing in your bags over the course of like your entire life.
Mm.
Yeah, facts.
That's
I feel
wonderful.
that.
That's really wonderful. Do you guys have like handles y'all want to plug?
So when
Yeah.
y'all trying to drop the pod? What's going
Yeah,
on?
like
just
what's
talked
going
about
on?
Well,
May
we just
first-
talking about we
first
thinking
week
May
of May.
1st. First week
Okay.
of May.
Okay.
The rollout is gonna be a little bit different than what you know, a lot of people have done. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna go all out.
Yeah, we
There's gonna
definitely
be
gonna-
a whole
gonna,
campaign we trying to put together for
Yeah.
the
Love
rollout.
that.
So,
Love
Okay,
that.
okay.
Love that.
but
So-
you can follow me on social media, Mr. Always Good Never Bad. You know,
We'll plug it in.
for your
Yeah,
inspirational,
we'll put it in the
motivational
description.
energy.
yeah, I don't so much post to social media anymore. It's funny. I got hurt a couple months back, and the fitness kind of took a back seat to what I'm doing now. So,
But we're gonna be.
you know, I'm still
Are
on
you a personal
Instagram.
trainer?
Yeah, I am,
Okay.
and an iron worker here in New York City. But I got hurt on a job site a couple months back, so I'm trying to get back from injury right now. Gym and all that stuff is like back burner
strain,
right
yeah,
now. So,
okay.
you know,
Gotcha.
but I'm still at Felony Fit on Instagram. And yeah, I'm pretty transparent. You can
All
see my
right.
life from there.
Well, thank you guys for coming on, and
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having
we
us.
can't wait to see how you roll out, man.
Definitely.
We'll
I know,
definitely make
But
sure.
we definitely will invite y'all. This right here could be a formal
Oh.
invitation. Y'all could pop out
Oh,
to the
yeah,
rollout.
definitely.
That'll be dope. It's gonna be at a venue.
It's
We're
gonna
gonna
be-
put it
Oh
together.
yeah, we did.
It's
We
such a
did.
blessing,
We did.
man.
We in there.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
But again, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Always tell a friend to tell a friend. Comment, do all that good stuff. Follow us on Instagram at Heard You Sis. And yeah, we're out. See y'all next time.
Peace.